Now it's my great honour to introduce our final speaker, someone who has not only talked the talk, but walked the walk when it comes to defending life in federal parliament. Throughout his time in the Senate, Malcolm has been a bold and unwavering voice for the unborn, standing up against the tide of political pressure that's been raged against him. He has consistently championed policies that protect the sanctity of life. His speech in favour of the Babies Born Alive bill last year was incredible. Don't know if you've heard that. Absolutely fantastic. So Malcolm is up for re-election this year, and again, Queenslanders head to the polls next week. We are grateful to have leaders like him and thankful for him giving the time to us this afternoon. So please join me in giving a big, warm welcome to Queensland Senator Malcolm Roberts.
Thank you for being awake. Thank you for making an effort for humanity. Together, we are on the front line of an information war, an indoctrination war. I want to thank Cherish Life's founders, leaders, and organisers of this march. Natalie Davis, who's a strong Christian, our candidate in the seat of right, and my wife Christine, who stands beside me. I want to commend Matt Cliff for his speech at Church and Life just last month. Best speech I've ever heard on pro-life. Best speech. He talks about scientific proof that shows that life starts at conception. We know that, but he's proven it scientifically. He also talked about the brutality of abortion. By the way, Dave Pello's here, and I was going to say it regardless of whether he's here or not, but his conference, Church and State, every year is the best in Australia. I'll share something with you. I haven't spoken much about abortion before entering the Senate, but something came over me, something within, something without, when I entered the Senate. I just had to speak about pro-life. I don't know why, but it just happened. And I remember going to Cherish Life, Wendy, Francis as well, and getting badges, the Little Feet badges. And I've got one on every coat I have so that I'm never without it. And it just feels the right thing to do. Pauline Hanson and I, lead efforts in this country to protect free speech. The first to attempt to enshrine freedom of speech in the Constitution. But what is the point of free speech without the other freedoms? Freedom of association, freedom of exchange, freedom of travel, freedom of movement, freedom of speech. But what about the primary freedom? Because without this freedom, the freedom of life, there is no freedom. That is it, freedom of life. And One Nation policy has been lauded by family groups, by Christian groups, by pro-life groups as being the best in the country. Have a look at it. Cherish Life and all of us here are about saving babies' lives. It's worthy. Your work is the highest order work. Abortion violates life. It murders the helpless. So please continue your work, our work. It's vital work. Cherish Life says, and I want to commend Cherish Life for this, Matt, for their notice on this rally. I'm going to quote, "Life matters. Every life, every stage, every circumstance." Amen to that. Today I seek to extend to the bigger picture, beyond abortion, to all of life. Babies Born Alive, and George Christensen, the Man Mountain's here somewhere, he initiated this bill in the lower house just before he left the Parliament. When we pushed that bill in the Senate, it revealed the true feelings of the opponents of Babies Born Alive bill, the supporters of full-term abortion. They started screaming at me, and then they stopped, fell silent and hung their heads. They know that what they're doing is wrong. because human care is about care for all humans, and they had to suppress their care. So the Greens are ashamed. They're suppressing their own human care, showing their guilt. How can anyone think otherwise when they see a picture of a fully formed baby tossed out of a failed abortion, born alive, and tossed in a cold stainless steel kidney bin to die with no treatment, no care allowed? That is inhuman. That's what we see from the Greens. They know it's wrong, yet they do it anyway. Monsters. Humans care. Humans of all denominations, of all religions, of all races, all nationalities care about life. Now, we've got some humans like Hitler, Stalin, murderers, mass murderers, anti-human. We've also got throughout our society people driven by ideology and guilt or shame that elevate nature above all of us as humans. Some hold animal and plant life above human life. Gaia worship is pagan. This is rampant in our society. Now, we all admire nature. I'm sure everyone here admires nature, respects nature, protects nature, because nature is God's creation, correct? Of course we do. Some say go further, and some say civilization and the planet are not compatible. They want to end human civilization. They say that human civilization and protection of the environment are mutually exclusive. They're not. They're mutually reinforcing. They push nature versus humans, nature versus civilization, and use the environment as a vehicle, even though they're the monsters that are destroying the environment with wind turbines and solar panels. The reality is that human civilization, to have a future, has to protect the environment. And the reality is that for the environment to be protected, we need a well-formed human civilization. They're mutually dependent. Humans care. It's not humans or nature. It's humans with nature. We are of nature. Now, globally, there's an agenda pushing an aim to protect the planet. The United Nations, Maurice Strong, was responsible for the deaths of 50 million people by the unscientific banning of the pesticide DDT that enabled malaria to escape again. 50 million lives. That puts him in front of Hitler, Stalin, and second only to Chairman Mao. Mass murderers. What they use is lies plus nature as a proxy. This is going on all around us for about a century to justify denigrating humans. They put down humans. Think about this. Think about this. They put down humans. They use guilt, shame, belittling, demeaning, subtly, sometimes directly. And they paint us, our species, humans, as greedy, uncaring, rapacious, and irresponsible. Nothing could be further from the truth. We are wonderful. They're conditioning people to devalue human life. They tell us babies in the womb are not human. What the hell are they? And they do this to debase human life and God's work. They also debase both foundations of human society, the family and the nation state. This is deliberate, it is planned, it is organised through the United Nations. Their methods including isolate, separate, divide to create victims. And yet the very people they create as victims fall into permanent victimhood, and that weakens them. And when you have a victim, you need a perpetrator. So therefore they have division. It entrenches division, separation, and dependence. Now, many of the tactics they use are not just in Australia, they're supranational. They're in British colonies, they're in America, Canada, New Zealand, Britain itself, other countries in the West. And it's not just abortion that they're on with. It's about COVID, climate fraud, transgenderism, housing, DEI, breakdown of the family, abortion, anti-human policies. This is what they're pushing around the Western world. Let's have a look at COVID, for example, the fear, the use of fear. The COVID actions were pre-planned, not months before it arrived here in 2020, but decades before it arrived in 2020. The abuses, the restrictions, the lies, one after another. The COVID timeline didn't start in 2016 with the patenting of the COVID spike protein virus. Did not start then. It goes right back to 1965. And this is all documented with the aim to design and make a killer virus to then sell a killer injection and to force it on people. This is all out in the open now. The USA government, but it goes beyond 1965, the USA government has made grants to the Carnegie Institution of Washington Department of Eugenics since 1913. This is beyond babies. Inhuman actions reveal that the COVID intent was to transfer wealth and control. It is homicide. Homicide. And they have elaborate efforts to hide the intent, insulate agencies, insulate health departments, hide the deaths. It's anti-human. It's not just babies they're trying to kill. It's our lifestyle, our way of life and people by demeaning humans, as their own words and actions show, all to control. With no value for human life. They've said so, their words. And the aim is to marginalise human life, to degrade humans, and to kill independent thought. Kill independent thought. It starts with toddlers in the education system, the media, the movies, entertainment, politics. And the aim's the same as we've had for millennia. Transfer wealth, steal your money, and control. That's it. Control and wealth transfer. Can you see that the real agenda is well beyond babies? It's well beyond just human. It's the entire humans. You, us, everyone. So what do we do to solve this? Let's return to what gave us human progress. Look how far we've come in just 170 years. Scratching around in the dirt, and now we're basically independent of any famines and disasters. What gave us that? Christian way of life gave us that development. Christian way of life. I want to quote from the Australian Constitution's first paragraph. Quote, humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God. End of quote. Our country is run under a constitution that has a Christian context. We are a Christian country. We were founded on Christian values and principles. I've argued with the Greens in the Senate. Argued with them. These people do not understand the background of our Constitution. What we need to do, I'm saying, is to return to Christian principles. Truth, forgiveness, love, abundance, freedom, and accountability. That's what gave us Western civilization. So we need to all take, in my view, a pro-Christian position. I want to make it very clear that I'm not saying we should impose religion, because Section 116 of the Constitution says we shouldn't and we can't. There is freedom of religion. But we need to return to Christ's teachings. We need to forgive so that when we're dealing with these people and refuting them, we do not resort to control. We need to respond with a clear heart. That's what Christ gave us, the opportunity to have a clear heart. So respond with truth, data, facts. The reality is that humans are absolutely wonderful. No one's perfect, but we are wonderful. That's why I am fiercely and staunchly pro-human. We need to acknowledge that our species' goal is for humans to flourish, to have abundance. We need to awaken the churches, and I look forward to working with Matt and Church Life on this, for their own benefit. Appeasing the pagans in government has not helped the churches, it's hindered the churches, it's destroying the mainstream churches. Sacrificing principles for dollars is not the answer. All of us, I invite you all to please share, spread the news and awaken. Get involved, maybe like Matt Cliff, Georgie Batty, who's going to lead the parade today, Natalie Davis being a candidate. I'll leave you with a few thoughts. The people killing babies have a broader agenda. There is hard evidence for that. Be prepared, counter them. It's not just about babies, that's the first step to condition you. Secondly, be very proud of our species. Be proud of supporting babies. Be extremely proud of supporting babies because you're supporting humans doing so. Pro-life is essential to restoring our way of life, restoring our lifestyle, restoring our living. Christianity is a part of that. It's an essential part of that. It gave us Western civilization. 1 Corinthians 13:7. Love is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Love is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Thank you so much for cherishing human life. Please continue to cherish human life. Thank you so much.